Right, so now we've done the fetch request or the get request for our reviews. We now want to do the post request. So first of all, what we need to do is we can create the form that is used on the reviews page. So this is the destination review form. So this form basically takes in all the destinations because we need to list out all of our destinations. So again, what we want to do is we want to fetch all the destinations server side. So that's as simple as just copying it across from another file. So in here in destinations in page.tsx, this one is the use effect, which is all client side, but let's do this one server side. So let me just simply do const all destinations like so is equal to await, and then this will be an async function like that. And we want to just basically create a fetch all destinations function like so. And basically this will be done on the actions folder in here in fetch. So what I'm going to do is fetch all the destinations. So let me just go into here and bring in the function that we need, which is export async function, fetch all destinations, which returns a promise of destination. We have our base path in here. Again, let me just delete that. Then what we want to do is we want to await fetch the base path slash API destinations like so. Then all we need to do in reviews is essentially just paste this in. Let me just comment this out for now. And then I want to just log out the old destination. So that's console log all destinations like so. And then let me save that and delete any other console logs that we do have in the app. So we've got the middleware one, we can get rid of that or comment it out for now. Let me save this now, and then we have our function declared, and we just need to go on the reviews page. So let me just close all the other tabs. So now you can see on the server side, it actually has logged all the destinations. Because we're fetching everything on the server side, it's logging it in here. Now that's handy. So again, if you remember, server side code or any logs on the server side happen in our terminal. They won't get shown in the obviously the browser itself unless you create a component that uses use client, then they will get logged. So that's the first thing. Now what we want to do is create the form. So let's go ahead and uncomment this out. We need to create this form. So let's go ahead and create the file, which is destination review form .tsx like that. Press enter, RAFCE. This is the review form, and all I'm going to do is just bring in the information for the form. So now that I've created the form, I want this form to be client side, and then the action for the submit will be on the server side, which will be a server action. So let me just quickly paste in the code that we have. Let me just delete this. So we have use client in here. When we handle submit, essentially we want to handle submit and then pass it in submit review. We have the actions folder in here, so we will create that next. Let me just comment this out actually and console log something like submitted or form submitted like that. Then we have our form which runs handle submit in here, so all the logic happens in here. Let me just import in my types. Scroll down, we have all destinations which is coming from the page itself, so we just need to import this in. So that's all the logic there. Let me just delete the console log on the server side. Then we map everything. We have the options for each import itself, and then we show the message in like so. So let me just save this. So there's two things we need to do. First one, we need to create the server action. Let's do that next. But first, before we do that, let's check this is all working. So let me just inspect in the console. When we submit, it should just basically say form submitted. So let's just select Paris console. Let me expand this a little bit more. Name is going to be Imran, and then review is going to be amazing, like so. And then this is going to be a 4-star review. Do we have that already? No, we don't. So we just keep it as 5 and submit. And now it's saying failed to submit review. So what's actually gone wrong in this one? Let me just go out and check in the UI. So command F failed. And actually, let's go back because I believe we're on the wrong page, which is this one. So this is the one we need to inspect. So let me just go into here in the console, clear everything out and try again. So we'll say this is amazing. And then this has a five-star rating like that. Let me click submit review, and you can see here it says form submitted. So now that's all fine. This is a client-side component, but the action needs to be on the server. So let's go ahead and look at server actions itself. Now that the form is submitted, the benefits of using server actions is that you don't need to use useState. So therefore, that's handy because you don't need to do all of the work that comes along with using useState for the form data, handling all of that and resetting everything for us. The data that we send across is then directly sent to the server action. So we need to receive that in our server action and do something with it. In our case, it's going to be to update our reviews API in here. But again, this should be connected to a database. So again, this isn't a best practice, but we're just doing it for this crash course in general. So that is the other thing. And also what we want to do is we want to add in some sort of UI revalidation, and we will look at how to do that with something called revalidate path. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and go in our code. In actions over here, we need to first of all create this function called submit review. So let's just uncomment this out, and in actions, let's create the new file, and this is going to be called review.ts, like so. And then my server action, what I'm going to do, I'll just copy this and bring in the server action itself. So in here, we explicitly are saying that this is going to be using the server. So you need to make sure that this is in. Then we have our function in here, which is an async function. It takes in our form data as we have here. Again, we're specifying the review data, then review data gets updated, and then that review data gets pushed. So if you scroll down further, we get a try catch block. In the try block, we have a response await fetch, obviously the next public API URL or whatever the base path is, /API/reviews. Then we do the method of post with the content type of application.json. Then we stringify everything in the body. If the response is not okay, then we throw the error, which goes to the catch block. Then we revalidate the path to /, which means that revalidate the page to update the UI. So in this scenario here, let's just click into here for now. It says here the original path. So this takes in a string. So this function allows you to purge cache data on demand for a specific path. So that's what we need to do basically, is pass in the original path. So in our case, it's going to be /reviews. If we go in our code, back in our review here, it's going to be /reviews here, like that. So this updates the UI, and then it basically returns this object of success true, message review submitted successfully. So now let me save this. And what I want to do is log out the reviews. So if I go into the review page, which is in reviews page.tsx, in the customers reviews in here, again, we're fetching the reviews, and this is based on when the page reloads. So now what we want to do is just test this out. So let's just fill in a form, and then we'll just say Imran, and then the review is amazing, like so. And then the rating's going to be 5. Let me just press submit review. And if you remember, this should send a post request to our API, but we haven't created that. So this should fail. So let me just quickly submit the review. And it says fail to submit review. It says post 200, but again, we haven't configured that, so it shouldn't really work. It should be an error. So again, you can handle that with error handling and return the right response. So let me go into the API in route. We've only got this one, which is the get in here. What we now need to do is do the same for the post. So let me just bring that in. But it's a bit different this time. So all it is post. We get the review data, await request.json in here. If there's no name or no review or no destination, then we can throw an error saying invalid input. Otherwise, reviews.push into review data. Then we return the response that review submitted successfully. So that is everything complete now. We've got our server action set up, and we've created the post route as well. And we also have the form created in here. So what we want to do now is test all of this out and make sure that everything works correctly. So now we're fetching our 2 reviews in our array in here, and then we want to add Marrakesh, and then this says this was amazing, and the rating is going to be 5, and let's just submit the review, and it says review submitted successfully. So now let's just check in here the post, and you can see all the information was sent correctly with the server action. First of all, what we need to do now is refresh the page. And you can see here, it's saying that there's one issue. Let me just see. Each child should have a key prop. That's fine. We'll fix that. And now you can see my review has been added in. So when we kind of submit the review, what we can do is essentially reload the page or navigate back to the home page or do something, but we essentially need to re-render this page because this page is static. So therefore we could add some sort of revalidate on here or something when we deploy the app, and ensure that every so often after 60 seconds or so we ensure that we have incremental static regeneration on there, so that when the user goes back to the home page after a certain amount of time, the review will get populated. So that's what you can implement to improve the performance of the app. So to solve the issue of having to reload yourself, all you can do is in the destination component, in the handle submit over here, after form submitted, you can just do window location.reload like that. And then that will pull in obviously the updated version in here. So that's as simple as it is. Let me just quickly show you how that works. So let me just add in a new one. So this time we'll do New York. I've been to New York, and again, the skyscrapers were amazing. And the rating this time is going to be 4. So now I don't want to reload. I just want to submit, and then review submitted, and it reloads and it says skyscrapers were amazing. So again, the server action is doing its work, and then once it's done its work, we can just reload the page. So that is basically how you would use server actions. And then we've got the one issue, so let me just fix that, which is in review. Check the render method. We need a unique key prop. So let me just copy this, and this is in our form. Command FV in here. It's not in here, so it'll be in the reviews itself. So let me find the customer reviews. In here we have that, and what we want to do is we can just do the index instead for now, and this will fix that issue as well. So now we have done the crash course. What I want to do next is show you how to deploy everything onto Versal.